You hear that noise, that squeaking noise? Sounds like the wheel's off balance. Hey guys, it's Jake here. I'm gonna take you out on a call with me today over to my parents' house. I was over there at their place for the holiday weekend and noticed in the upper barn where they have a 22 SEER 2-zone York inverter heat pump mini split. The right head, the wall hung unit, was making a little noise when it was running the blower, so I turned the unit off and pulled the filters, and 50 or so stink bugs fell out of that thing, and looked up in there with my headlamp, and the blower wheel itself in the center of it has some missing fins. I have no idea what caused it, but we shut that zone down, and that unit's just been running on the one zone. So I called M&A Supply yesterday, and they got that wheel ordered for me, and it came in today, just the next day. So I'm going to run out there to their place, which I'm doing now, to install that blower wheel. I figure I'd take you along for that for the ride. I've never installed a blower wheel on this particular kind of model, but if you've done one blower wheel on a mini split, they're all kind of the same, little variances here and there. So I figured might make a good video, might help somebody out. It is really cold out today. High of 33, lows in the teens. Supposed to be real cold over the next couple days as well. So yeah, I wanted to get this heat restored on this zone in their upper barn, kind of help them out. They only heat it to 61 degrees unless my dad's out there in the workshop or something doing things. They got some deep freezers out there. They do have water out there, so want to make sure, you know, nothing freezes up. I'm having to take the back way, another way into their place. 2 bridges fell getting out to their house during Hurricane Helene. So the back way I used to go, which would take about an hour on back roads, that way is no longer passable. There's another back route you can take, but it's longer. And then the 107 cutoff bridge, that one fell as well. So now I'm having to drive through town and then cut back towards their house up in these mountains out here. So yeah, it takes a lot longer. It used to be about an hour on the back way, maybe an hour and 5, hour and 10, maybe hour 15 if traffic was rough through the main roads. And then now it's like an hour and 30, hour 40 minutes to get out there. So hopefully they can get the bridges fixed eventually. You can see all the snow out there in those mountains. We got about 2 inches in Johnson City last night. Looks like they just got maybe an inch out here, and it's already melting off. Not up in those mountains though. But yeah, it is cold out. So I'm gonna get over there and see if we can get this thing installed, get the other one ripped out, and take you along for the ride. You can actually see the water level, how high it got out here. Look at all these trees laid down. This whole area was flooded. They thought this bridge was gonna go. Look at that. I mean, that is the power of water right there. They thought this bridge was gonna collapse. It ended up holding. I mean, it is crazy. Crazy, crazy, the power of water, man. You couldn't pay me to live on a river. You guys see that up there in the woods? Flipping Sasquatch. My mom bought those things. She got a couple of them out here. I get a little chuckle out of it whenever it come up. Alright, we're gonna get after it. I gotta honk when I make this corner so they know it's me. Okay, so this is the unit in question here, number C. It was installed 10/18 of 2021, and the wheel is missing some fins on it. I'm basically just gonna open this thing up, see what we got to get into here. Looks like I'll pull these filters. Looks like we're gonna have some screws to take off here so that we can get this case off. Might end up having to take these off to get the drain pan to drop. We'll have to pull those 3 on the bottom. Probably take that door off too, just so it doesn't fall out. Not sure if I'll have to take those. I don't remember, to be honest with you. When I was troubleshooting this thing when I first installed it, this zone didn't work. and ended up diagnosing a bad outdoor unit on a brand new system. And then you got to pop the clips up top, so I had to take the control panel off of here and before to get to thermistors and make sure everything was right. Ended up being a bad board on a brand new system, and then it was back ordered, so they just gave me a new system. All right, well, let's get this thing taken apart here. To get these ones off, you just got to pop them up like that. There's like a little thumb area for you to put your finger in, or a little flathead or something. You know, they come up real easy. So I have to take those 3 off for sure. And we're just gonna keep going. I got the plastic cover off here. Pretty sure I had to take those out. I mean, it looks like it'd have to come out so this plastic cover will come off. I would suggest if you're working on these mini splits, when you tighten them back up, don't use a drill, or run them in part way with the drill and then use your hand to tighten them up. These things are all plastic junk, you know. These screws on the bottom, I got these out already. Sometimes the screws won't want to come out of there. I just use a magnet, you know, and let it suck onto the magnet. So now we should be able to get up here to the top here and pop these clips loose. And it should just come on down out of there. Oh, that one's a little tighter. There we go. And this one on the end. Hand on there. All right, I'm gonna go to 2 hands here. There's one of the stink bugs. I guess I missed. There was like 50 of them in here. I mean, they were everywhere. I'm gonna get 2 hands on this and drop this thing, the whole cover, down and out of here. Didn't have to remove this top cover on this style here to pull it. Well, I forgot I had to get these 2 little screws off the display here. It's easier probably than opening this thing up. So this will just fish through this hole right here as I take it off. It's completely loose now. Should be able to just pop it down out of there now. Not 100% sure if I have to take these off or not, but all it is these little plastic, I don't know what they are, like retaining clips. You can grab them with a needle nose and pull them, or you can just put your hand on one side and just barely tap on them and they'll pop out. There's 2 of them, and I should be able to just bend this down a little bit and it'll pull out of each side here. Not sure if I have to take it out on this or not, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways. It's easy to take out. I hate to break it, you know. All right, once you get those clips out, like I said, you just kind of pull down a little bit in the center. This is a female part on the louver, and it goes over this male part, and then you have a male part that sticks into the female part, so that'll have to go in the same direction again there. So now I should be able to undo some screws. I'm thinking on the coil here, and be able to drop that coil. First I'm going to try to find the set screw. The set screw should be on this side here, and there's normally like something missing in the fins where you can stick a screwdriver up. Every one is a little different. I'm going to grab my headlamp and see if I can't see that spot, and I'll stick my Phillips screwdriver in there and loosen that set screw a few turns. That way when I drop this coil down, I can grab the wheel and pull it off that side over there. Okay, so for the coil to be pulled up out of the way, I got one here, screw here, that I took out. I'll show you over here what I got. And there's 2 on this side here. 1 and 2. And once you have that out, you can normally just, yeah, there you go, you can lift this up, and that's your blower wheel access right there. So what I'm going to try to do is get that blower out of there if I can, and see about getting that thing pulled. The coil's loose now, so we're just going to keep going step by step. Okay, so the next step I took was went ahead and pulled this up and out of there so that I could lift this up and out. That's the blower wheel right there. Not sure why you can see that, but that clip just pulls up. There's a little tab on the back right here. See, that just pulls up, and what happens is this right here is where the shaft goes in. You got to make sure that's greased when you put it back together. But this little tab right here has just got to get pressed. It sits in here, and it just lifts this up and out of there, and you can pull the motor as well. I just left it in there so I could show that step for right now so you could see it. But I still got to get the set screw off of there as well. Alright, well there's no access to the set screw over here. I went ahead and disconnected these grounds and the thermistor for the coil temperature here. There's a little plastic cover that just goes on that. And I'll have access to the set screw down there because it's buried in under the shroud for the blower motor. And it's hard to get to over there. I'd have to pull all this loose and take the cover off over there. I'm thinking, I don't really know. I've never done a motor on this, like I said. Okay, just to see a little bit better, I went ahead and pulled this. I think I'm going to pull them all the way down. This right here has just got some clips. So it sits like this, and then you just squeeze the clips on each side. Looks like a little trident. And it pulls out. There's 3 of them. I'm going to go ahead and pull those just so I can see better. I can see some other clips in here. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to get this thing out of the way so I can get to that set screw without having to disassemble everything here. I took the 2 screws out of the control panel as well, down at the bottom and up top, and just laid that off to the side for right now. And I just still can't see that thing. Alright, just to get a little more viewable area here, I'm popping these off as well. I don't know if I need to do these or not, but I still don't have access to that set screw over there. So I think I'm just going to pull these down. It's basically just these little clips up here. You press them in and it just pops forward. It's pretty easy to get them off. I figure I'll just go ahead and pull them real quick. Okay, I finally found the clip back in there. Pushed it with the screwdriver, and then I undid these 2 screws here. One there and one there, and then one on the blower motor itself. And this just stuffs as a friction fit right there. Looks like this now is going to pull off of there, and I should have access to the set screw. A little bit of a hide and seek game here on this one. A little different than what I've done before in the past. This one seems to be more of a pain in the butt. Alright, so this is what this one looks like. Those 2 screws come out. That little friction fit right there, it just pops up, and you kind of have to turn it at an angle and pull it out of there. There's that stinking set screw I was going for. Man, what a pain in the butt. I guess you do a few of them, it gets a little better. Now that I know where that clip is, I was looking everywhere for some clips. I just could not find the clips, and I finally was looking over here and saw that clip. I even took that stuff off the bottom there, and really didn't need to do that at all. I was just trying to get my eyes up in there and see if I could see anything, maybe like an access door at the bottom or something where I could get access to that set screw. I just couldn't see anything, so I was like, well, I'm gonna have to just pull this cover off the blower motor here. And that's when I saw the clip up there, and I was like, oh, I bet you that's it. It's a little access door. Take these screws off, and sure enough, set screw hiding in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that, loosen the set screw a few turns, and then we'll pull it out from that end, lift up on the coil, and pull the blower wheel free. All right, I got the set screw loose. I should just be able to lift up on this coil now, support it with one hand here, and pull this blower wheel on out of there. I'm gonna use 2 hands here, but I wanted to show you kind of what I was talking about. I'm gonna grab it with the coil with my right hand here, grab the wheel with my left, and pull it on out of there. Well, she's definitely missing some teeth here. I don't know what in the world got into that thing. Randomly one busted there, and then boom, 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 boom. I don't see any other teeth missing on this thing. But wow, man, that's pretty bad. Well, now that I know how to take this blower out of these Yorks, it'll be easier for the next one. I won't be sitting here fooling with all this stuff on the bottom looking for clips. I'll just know to go over to the blower motor cover and pull that. Getting those screws back in is going to be a little bit of a bear. I had to use my extension. So it's not easy to get those screws out of there. It's real tight with the coil. Not the best design in the world, that's for sure. Alrighty, well, I'm going to go ahead and get the other blower wheel and make sure we got ample grease on this. I'll put this side in there, and we'll slide this here onto that side, and we'll set the set screw and start putting this Bearcat back together here. Okay, I put the plastic piece here on the wheel and slid the wheel down here, and I lined up the shaft here with the attachment for the wheel. I just need to rotate it now and do the set screw. I first got to make sure this wheel is centered and we're not going to have any rubbing here on the sides. But once you set this down, start setting this down, this back piece just clips in and it like that. So these two little forks go into this in the back, and then this has got a little clip on it and it snaps into place. So now we just need to make sure the wheel is centered. We're not going to be rubbing on either side. Rotate the shaft until I get to the flat spot of the shaft, and then we'll set that set screw on the blower motor there. Well, I'm glad I figured this one out. A little bit of a puzzle, a little hide and seek on that clip. Okay, I got the set screw mounted on the flat part of the shaft here. Got it tightened down, made sure I had good spacing on each side of the blower wheel. I always like to give it a dry spin, make sure it's not wobbling crazy or touching anything it shouldn't. Everything looks to be okay there. No issues there. So alright, I'm gonna go ahead and start reassembling this thing. Get the cover back in here, boom, and then we'll lift the coil back up and set it into place. I'll get those screws back into this cover. There's two of them there, and start putting this thing back together. On the coil on this side, when we put it back together, we got to make sure that we get the coil at the top here down into this track. So this part right here has to drop down in that track. There's a little track for it, so make sure you get that set in if you do this job. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start putting everything together. Okay, I got the coil down on the track over there, got this piece back in. I need to get these two screws in. I got the one on the motor here done, and then there's one back here, which is really hard to even see, but I found that if I put a needle nose and grab the top of the screw, you can actually get back in there and set it in. I'm going to do the same thing with this one up here in the front. You can see it down in there. It's not easy to get to, and you can't get your hand in there. I'm just going to take a needle nose with the screw like that and push it down in the hole, and then go ahead and screw it in. So it'll bite and hold in place. Gotta make sure that this part's under the clip there so it's nice and secure. So yeah, it's a little bit of a bear to wiggle it back in. Not terrible, but definitely a little bit of a bear for sure. Well, I ended up not having to use the needle nose on this one. I was able to go in from right here with the screw. I got a magnetic bit. Was able to get that in there. Now I'm just going to use a handheld screwdriver. I can't use my Klein because it's fat. I have to grab one off my van and just hand tighten those into place. This back one probably could have come in from like right here, but I was worried about dropping the screw and then having to fish it out of this once I had this in place. That's why I just used the needle nose over there. But it does help. I magnetized this even more than what it really comes because I put my magnet on there. But yeah, so I got that back on there, so that's good. I'm gonna go ahead and just start putting stuff back together, and we'll give this thing a test. I might do some little shots here and there. Okay, I'm just moving along here. Got my grounds put back in, got my thermistor put back on for the coil temperature sensor. Got my cover there put back on. Got my electrical panel screwed back in. Stepper motor attached still. Let's see, what else did I got? Oh yeah, I got my temperature sensor here, thermistor for that, attached back in the track. Probably didn't need to remove that, but I did. It's easy to take on and off. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep going through this. I gotta put all these vanes back on, get the rest of the screws put back in. Got this one screwed in as well here. So I just need to go through and attach the rest of these screws and put it back together. Okay, I got my screws in on this side. You got to make sure that again that is down in that track there. I went ahead since I was in here and got me a cloth and cleaned up this bottom here. I'm going to hit a little more off right there. Looks like I got a fingerprint on that. I'm just gonna wipe this down real good, that way we don't have grease staining all over this mini split here. And it's a good time when you pull the wheel to go ahead and clean that shroud in there and stuff. Alrighty, well, I'm just gonna keep moving right along here. I'm gonna go ahead and slide these pieces on here, give them a wipe first, and they just pop in. It's not hard to pop them on, and then I got to do those as well. They just pop in place. Alright, so these just slide up in place. Something I noticed while I'm cleaning these is, boy, these things are cheap. The Mitsubishis are kind of flexible, and this is flexible, but it's like hard plastic flexible. So these things look like they would break super easy. Oh man, they definitely are very cheap. I wanted to do Mitsubishi in here, but the Mitsubishi back in October of 2021 was back ordered around here. I couldn't get one for almost 4 months. It was like a 3.5 month wait to get one. So my dad ended up saying, well, let's go with this York. I had access to that. This was in stock. I kind of wish we would have just waited. I'm not trying to knock York or anything like that. But the quality is definitely noticeable, and then the accessibility of doing maintenance items like removing a wheel is much more of a pain in the butt on this compared to the Mitsubishis, at least that I've worked on. So yeah, kind of wish we would have waited. So I'm just wiping these down as I go through. I'm going to wipe those as well. Here's some pieces that I found inside the drain of the wheel. So yeah, just gonna go ahead and wipe this thing down as I put it back together. Not lots of videoing because it's more just wiping stuff down right now. Alright, got the unit back together here, filters in it. Just reverse the steps of how you take it apart. Take your time because everything's plastic, and like I said, don't use an impact on it unless you're gonna impact it and then stop and then tighten it the rest of the way with the screwdriver by hand. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and go back outside, put the disconnect back in, and we'll fire up the two heads here on the wall and make sure they're working. Alright, she's ramped up here. Let it start out nice and easy, barely moving that blower motor. Now it's ramping up a little bit, still not at full tilt, but nice and quiet. No more vibrating the metal and making a squeaking sound when it's running. Thing was just out of balance with that broken blower wheel. So we'll call this repair a success. A little bit of a bear on this one, being that I didn't know where to look to get access. I knew I had to take that electrical off, but I just could not find a clip on this thing, and sure enough, that clip's buried under the coil over here. And then you got to take those extra screws off, those 3 screws, to pop that cover off. So I'll remember that in the future if I see this style again. Alright, well, I'm here in my basement. I just got home a little bit ago and realized I didn't shoot an outro. My dad came in at the end when I was piecing the final parts of that mini split wall hanging unit up on the wall there, and helped me go ahead and set it and pop the final screws and stuff in it and put the louver back in. So I didn't record any of that, but it got dark, so I couldn't really shoot one in the van. Driving home from their house, I'm having to take a new route, and it's a lot of really windy backcountry roads, and it's really dark out there, so I got to use the brights and stuff in the van, so I take it slow. Felt like I should just shoot it when I got home here. That job definitely took me a little longer than what I expected. That York unit is definitely not as tech friendly of a unit to work on. It makes it way more of a pain in the butt to do a simple maintenance item, pulling the blower wheel, for example. That is it's not terrible, but it's definitely not a very user-friendly, technician-friendly unit to work on, where you have to lift up on the coil on both sides. After you get in there and drop all the electrical off to the side, you have to get in and get those screws out, and then you have to finagle that plastic piece out in just the right angle to get it out of there, and then getting it set back in there, and then trying to get the coil positioned back where you need it. It's more of a pain in the butt. You know, Mitsubishi, you can get into a blower wheel in one of them things in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So definitely not as friendly of a unit to work on, but it is what it is. I also was working around a storage cabinet. It's probably 2.5, 3 feet wide, 2.5 feet wide. So I was having to lean over off a ladder and try to work without the ladder pushing sideways on me. So a little bit of a bear, but that's what you can expect when you're working on mini splits. They're just a bear to work on. You have to be really careful when you're working on them. Everything on the indoor units is plastic, so things break real easy. And as that plastic ages, it gets more and more brittle. So you just got to take your time and take it step by step, and don't rush things. Look before you go trying to tear on stuff and pull on stuff. See if there's little clips that are engaging, and pop those clips loose, you know. So hopefully this video helped you out. You can know in the future, if you get on one of these York mini split units, how you got to go in to access that set screw on that blower motor. Just go ahead and know that you're going to have to pull the electrical, and you're going to have to access that cover, pop them screws out, and kind of finagle that thing out of there. Lift the coil up a little bit on the right side. So it's a little bit of a different process, but once you've done a few of them, I imagine it's pretty simple from there. That was my first one doing on this style, so it definitely took me a little bit longer to wiggle it out of there and get the new one back in, but it is what it is. I want to say thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Maybe you're a York dealer and you got helpful tips that I could use in the future on other things, you know. It's a platform of sharing ideas and stuff, so maybe leave a comment if you have any suggestions or anything like that, or anything you want to say. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe out there. Get home safe to your families. That's the most important thing you can do every day. Talk to everybody later.